Are you ready? Because I have 219 slides for you in 40 minutes. So are you ready? Yes. Okay. So here you see a brewery from Atlanta, and that's actually what we need to do when it comes to business models. So we need to just brew business models to be innovative. And it was an interesting story in Atlanta where 10 men came together every Monday night for a specific religion, and they start to brew beer, and it got out of hand, and this is one of the biggest brewery now in the US. But what I want to discuss with you is how you can design business yourself. And if you look at this coaster here, then that's the innovation dilemma, what you have right now, as a corporate company, but as a startup as well. So on the left-hand side, you see the corporate company, and actually what they are doing is they are executing a business model. So they know who their customers are, they know what kind of value proposition they offer, they know how to make money, and the game they play is that they forecast and they use plans to optimize their business model. But then on the other side, you see startups, and they go from left to right, they come with new ideas, but they're totally different from large companies. And why they are different? Because a startup is a temporary organization. And what they are doing, they don't have a business model yet. They are searching for a business model. So they search for clients, they search for value propositions, and they search for customers who are willing to pay for these services or products. So what I want to do with you in 40 minutes to show you case studies from startups that we work with and corporate companies that we work with so that you can understand how to do this yourself. So it's all about new tools, it's new skills, and it's a new mindset. But you could actually say that your next CEO should actually be a designer because he needs complete different skills than a couple of years before. So I would like to show you some stuff that really doesn't work. Building a factory without knowing who your customer is, or setting up an ecosystem on electric transport while nobody wants to have that, but also stuff that does work. So a startup from Australia, and another thing what I'm very excited about is one of the greatest projects we did in the last few years was an innovation, business model innovation with a Dutch-Turkish company. And today is the first time I present these results with permission of the CEO of that company. So more about that later. So in introduction, I am born and raised in a funeral family. So 6 feet under family. So that's why you see I'm always dressed in black. And it's a little bit different from being born and raised in a royal family, I assume. But the question I have for you, if you look at the business model, what is really different from any other company? What is different in a funeral home? Any idea? Well, what is different is that you don't know when your customers will come. But you need to have the whole infrastructure, but you don't know where they come. And also, you can't influence the number of clients. That's not legal in Holland. So what is interesting is, when we start to do business model innovation, it's very important to start looking at other business models, to understand them, because the better you understand them, the easier it is to apply it for yourself. So you can call it learning or you can call it stealing, but that's one of the most crucial factors. And this is Alex Osterwalder. I don't know who's familiar with Alex. Heard about Alex Osterwalder? Some of you. And he wrote a thesis about what is a business model about? And he did that in 2004 in Switzerland. And I happened to know him through the internet and found his study. And then I wanted to invite him to the Netherlands in 2008. And then when he showed his stuff on business model thinking, I thought it would be very cool to publish a book. But when we thought publish a book about business model innovation, it's very stupid if you do this the traditional way. So what we wanted to do, we wanted to disrupt the publishing industry by doing this completely different. So what we started to do, we opened a platform, and then we charged people $24 to join our platform. And for these $24, their name would be printed in the book. They could help us with ideas around the book, and they could get the book for 50% discount. And at some point, when we started to work on the book, we thought, let's raise the price. And we did it again and again. And every time we raised the price, more people came to the platform. So in the end, we ended up with a crowdfunding of the book with 470 people from 45 countries. And then afterwards, we asked people, so right now we have sold more than 1 million copies. And there's also a Turkish translation. And then we asked people, okay, so maybe you share where you read the book. So then we got pictures from all over the world. So I think this guy is working on microcredit business models. I don't know. The thing is, why is this business model thinking so popular? That has to do with the fact that a lot of people and companies have a headache. And why they have a headache? Because they still live with assumptions that the past is going to come back when it comes to economic prosperity. But that's not true, because the world is changing, and you see for some companies, it's already too late. So you need to think, okay, so what is changing, and how can I do a better job? And this is a picture that I've been creating with the chief economist of BNP Paribas Fortis in Belgium. And he said, I would like to show what the world looks like today in Europe, in Belgium. And you see that here is a banker in the middle of the picture, and he said, bankers used to know 3 numbers. 3, 6, 3. So 3%, that's what we give to our customers. 6% is what we charge. And then at 3 o'clock, we go play golf. But you see here, that those times have changed. So here you see also that the bank, the channels for the bank have changed. Regulation there in the back are pressing the business model of the bank. People come with new ideas. Here at the bottom, you see a submarine with Square. So, and there above, you see there's an age group of plus 80 years old. And that's the only area in Belgium where there is growth. So people older than 80 years old. So Ontex is a company that produces diapers. And you see that this company sold more to older people than to babies in the last year. So it is all about the world is changing, but we need to understand what we can do better, and we need to learn to test our assumptions. So you can talk about a constant turbulence that's going on, and some call it a fuga world, where you see a lot of volatility, uncertainty, and complexity. And you see that for some companies, they love to be there, like startups, and for others, they're actually fearing. And I'm not sure about this guy here in the back, if it's fun or if he's scared. So the world has changed, and then you see some examples. So in publishing, we used to print these books, but now we just have our online book, which is very difficult for authors to sign, by the way. But then traveling used to be fun when you go on holidays and really argue with your wife or with your husband. But now it's changed to this. So we have navigation devices. And then in production, we used to produce in big quantities, but right now in tech shop, we can produce in small quantities ourselves. Then in public transport, we used to wait in the rain for a cab, but nowadays we have companies like Uber who can do it much better and much faster. And then in ownership, you see that we used to want to have a car, we want to own a car, but if you live in San Francisco, it's almost impossible to have a car. So then you see that BMW started to develop apps where you can not own a car, but you have access to a car and you pay for usage. And in retail, when you want to start a shop, you most likely not start in a shopping street anymore, but you will start online, and then you right away compete with companies like Amazon. And in music, we used to buy records in these kind of companies, but then nowadays we get streaming music and we get it almost for free. So you see that the world has changed, and you can actually say that the rules of the game have changed. And then you can ask yourself one single question, okay, every time, where is value created? And value creation is different in different countries and in different times. So what you see then is that when the world is changing, you need new tools and new skills and a new mindset. And then Alex Osterwalder came up with this tool to understand business models. And that's the business model canvas. Everybody ever heard about the business model canvas in the room for a little bit? So the business model canvas actually helps you to understand how to add value to your customers. And here is a definition, but it's kind of boring. So we thought, when you visualize this, you can nail this down to 9 simple questions. So here it starts with understanding your customer. And then you think, okay, understanding customers, that's very easy. But we have been working with Toyota in the US, and we had huge discussion about understanding who is our customer. So is it the car dealer? Or maybe it's the car buyer? And Toyota said maybe it's our headquarters as well. So it's interesting to have conversations with your team to really understand who is my customer. And then the next question is around, what is the product or service that I offer? And when you go to the website of a company like Deloitte, they say, we offer integrated services. Huh? Would you ever wake up in the morning that you say like, wow, I really need integrated services? No, so mostly those value propositions are defined from the customers, from the company's perspective. And if you don't ship your products and services, the question is, what kind of channels do you use? And if you don't sell anything, how you maintain relationships with your customer? And then if you see you can add value, then somebody has to pay. So this is the revenue model. So here, with this tool, you can see on the right-hand side, you understand how you add value and how you can monetize that. And then on the left-hand side, the question is, what kind of resources do you need? Do you need a brand? Do you need people? Do you need systems? And what activities do you need to do to get your business model running? And then you see that there are key partners. You might need partners to set up your value proposition. And then there is a cost to it. So these are the 9 building blocks of a business model. And this is important because these tools can really help you to do innovation much faster. And on the one hand, I showed you that you can use this to understand other business models, but also to do innovation. And I will show you case studies where we did innovation using these tools. So the business model canvas in 9 building blocks. And if you would like to use it, you can go to www.businessmodelgeneration.com and you can find all the materials, you can download it and start use it. So first I would like to show you a case study where it really, really didn't work. So if you want to sell electric cars, then you might want to go to Israel. And why? Because gasoline, you pay $7.5 for 1 gallon of gasoline. So you might think, hey, there's a big opportunity to introduce electric cars. So Shai Agassi thought about that problem himself. So he said, I want to introduce electric transport in Israel. So what he started to build is a whole new ecosystem around electric cars. So here you see it's called Better Place. And you see a specific car, a Renault, and you see a battery swapping station. So he said, if I can build this ecosystem in a country, then people can start using this, and I will introduce electric transport. So a battery swapping system, but they lost the game, and he spent $850 million in 3 years' time. And it's all gone. And this is a complete disaster. And the question is, how did it happen? So how it all started in 2007, and he said, I would like to end the global industry dependence on oil. So he had an idea, and he also started to introduce his idea to banks. So HSBC, Morgan Stanley, and Israel Corp, they invested big time in his idea. And Deutsche Bank said, this is a very unique business model, and he started to connect with Renault Nissan, and they started to produce 100,000 cars operating this system. And what this system could do, they could swap batteries at this battery station in only 5 minutes. So you come with your car, they swap your battery, and then that's done. So here you see how they separate this, and then the battery is changed, and this is one location at Schiphol Airport in the Netherlands. The solution was, in terms of business model, that you would buy the car for a little bit lower price, and then you would buy a subscription. So the car price is reduced, and then they charge you a monthly fee for swapping the battery. So my question to you is, what went wrong? Why do you think this didn't work? Sorry? Or the oil price went down. That could be an idea. But what is interesting about this idea is they did not solve a customer problem. So this car could drive for 80 kilometers on one battery. And he said, if you would like to drive more, I will introduce these swapping stations. So you swap it in 5 minutes and you can drive on. However, customers thought like, I don't really even want to buy this car. So the problem he was solving was a technical problem of this battery. And it was not a true customer problem. So swapping didn't make any sense for customers. And then you see that the exact problem, what they were solving, was a technical problem, but not a customer problem. So they burned 850 million. So now I would like to show you case studies, a startup where they started to work on real customer problems and also a corporate example. So imagine yourself that you come up with a startup idea, and this is a true story of one of the startups we work with in Australia. So it's called OneTap. And this is Scott. Scott is here on top. And you don't know, but he is a banker. So you know, bankers need to do something different at night. And he never ever won a fight, so you see he's very disappointed. But he had an idea, and his idea was to make serious money with an app. But then you think, okay, making money with an app, but it's not about the app. It's about the business model. So, and why is that? Because there's so many ideas all over the world, but all those ideas have zero value. And why? Because ideas are free. So if you go to Australia, you can find those ideas if you go here in Turkey. But if it's not validated with customers and there's nobody willing to pay for your idea, it has zero value. So the idea was as follows. So he had a big pain. So he was drinking with his friends in the bar, and then when you are done drinking, then you would like to pay. But there was nobody to find when he wanted to pay. So he thought, my idea would be OneTap. And what is OneTap? You can actually buy beer with your app. So what you do, you pay upfront $100, and then you get a code, and then you go to the bar, and you can get drinks until $100. So he thought, then I can just go to the bar and leave, and that's it. So we said to him, okay, that's interesting, but we first need to understand if we are really solving a customer problem here. So what we started to do, we thought, let's go to the bar. So we got out of the building. So we didn't just talk about it behind our desk. We were just going out of the building and start to understand who is my customer and try to understand what is the true pain and then discover our customer. So for him, that was pretty easy. So he started to go out in the bar, and what he discovered, they visited 40 pubs. And they tried to figure out what is the real problem when you go drinking in a bar. So they found 4 top pains. So these were the pains they found. So he said, a lot of pubs, bad service, you need to settle the bill, then my credit card is lost, and when I'm drunk, I also need to be transported home. And when you are an entrepreneur and you try to solve a first problem and develop a product, then you really need to be clear on what problem you try to solve. So you need to make a selection which one you can solve and which one you can't. So what is next? This is an important step, because if you start to develop an idea, you would like to make it bigger and beautiful, etc. And we call this featureitis. So the app, you try to build more features and more features and more features, but it doesn't make too much sense, because you need to understand what is the true problem, and you could say what is the minimum viable product that we can develop. So first the idea was around payment, but then you said you can do transport and you can improve services, but we tried to figure out what is the true pain. So what is next? It's not about the product, what I told you. It's not about the service, but it's about the business model. So my question to you is, if you want to design an app where you can pay at the bar, how are you going to make money? So I would like you to discuss this for a little bit with your neighbor, just for a couple of seconds. But then when you need to search for a neighbor, that's always difficult. So look left and look right and try to figure out a neighbor that looks more smart than you. Yeah? And then try to discuss, okay, so if you are the startup, what is the business model to make money? So what are the options that you think how you can make money? Just think about it for a little bit. Have a chat with your smartest neighbor. Okay, so I told you before is that you need new skills to do this, and as a CEO you should be actually a designer. And what does that mean? Is that for designing business models, there's not one single business model to be successful with such an app. So every time we do business model innovation, we try to come up with different prototypes of business models, how to make money. So here, with an app, there are different ways to make money. And when you work with a startup or with another company, it's mostly not the one that you fall in love with. So let's have a look at this startup case study. So the first business model that he had in mind, he said, you know, I have drinkers and I have a very cool app to buy drinks. I will sell them in the app stores and I make money with a download fee. Okay, I need to develop the app and I need to have a development team and it will cost some money. And this is the first idea on paper. And I told you this has zero value. So most likely the first idea is not the idea to make money with such an app. So what we started to do again, we thought, what is the real assumption here? So we assumed that people were willing to pay 99 cents for an app. So we start to go back to the pub, get out of the building, and start to see if these people were willing to pay 99 cents for the app. And what we learned is that there was another group at the bar, in the pub, the bar owners, who also loved this app. And why? Because they said sometimes people don't pay for the bill, and we need to administer all these credit cards, and then on Sunday morning we get these phone calls from people who forgot about their credit card. So what we learned is that there were now two customer groups who were actually willing to pay for this app. So the question is, what does the next business model look like? Well, we need to design a value proposition for the pubs too. So the next business model is number 2. It looks different. So still we have those drinkers who would like to keep the night going, but then here we offer it for free. And then we have the staff or the bar owners. It's a faster order process, and they would like to get more sales. And here, on the right-hand side, we would like to get them pay for usage. So anything else is quite same. But then you see we introduce another customer group, and these are willing to pay for that. So by offering this app for free, then the user base starts to grow, and then we make money by charging to the bar owners. So another partner, what we found, it was a point-of-sale software company who said, I would like to introduce this in all of the pubs where we have these cash registers so it can be implemented. So what we learned in 3 months' time is that the first idea, making money with an app, didn't make too much sense by selling them for 99 cents. And then when we went to the bar, we found this other customer group who were willing to pay for. So then we started to think about distribution. So I told you about this point of sales cash system. And then the question to you is, what is the third business model that they're really going to make money with? And that was fascinating because everything has to do with data. So they did not know that if I go to the bar in Amsterdam on Friday afternoon, that I buy 4 beers and 5 vodka orange juice. So this data is data that nobody has and that breweries are very, very interested in. So here you see that they secured an investment with a venture capital firm, and one of the leading entrepreneurs, Mark Carnegie, here on the right-hand side, he eventually bought the company, and then in 3 years' time, Scott there in the middle sold the company for 25 million. And maybe you think, oh yeah, this is a crazy success story, and that's true, because with our company, globally, we've been supporting 500 different case studies, and none of them had this success. But what I like about this example is that the initial idea is not the idea how you can best go to market. So you need to find options to figure out how to make money, but then you need to just go out of the building and see and talk to customers. And that's what startups do. And the faster, the better you can go out of the building and learn, the more likely you will succeed. So this is a startup company, and then you think, okay, but I'm not a startup company, I'm a corporate company, so how am I going to do that? So I would like to show you an example of a manufacturing company in Europe, and this is a Dutch-Turkish company. It's called Wavin Pilsa. And Wavin Pilsa, they produce, amongst other things, plastic pipes for construction sites. And the CEO, Orhun, who happened to be here in the audience, let's see, where is Orhun? Yeah, he's there, there's Orhun. And he said, I have this challenge. But then I said, you know, first you need to think like a designer. And then you think, okay, what would that look like? So if this is a designer like Karl Lagerfeld, Orhun also needs to look and think like a designer. So then it looks like this, you see? And when you think like a designer, you think completely different. So if he would think like a manager, he would think, we need to grow as a leading company in this country, but there is one single solution for this problem. But if he would be a designer like Karl Lagerfeld, he would keep options open, try to observe customers, and try to figure out how he can best add value. So let me take you on this journey that we did together. So he had the question, and he asked his sales team. So he said, we want to become the leader in our market, and how are we going to do that? So the team, that was the question, and here you see that the team started to work. So they looked at the numbers, and they wrote the plan, and what they wanted, they said, let's build a factory. And in this plan to build a factory, it was very clear, because you need to have the capacity to become the leader in the market, no? But the plan looks very detailed, but it doesn't help you to understand how you're able to sell more products or offer a better service to your customers. So what Orhun says that we first need to figure out who is actually our customer and what is actually the problem that we are solving. And you think that's very easy, but it wasn't that easy. So what we started to do first, we started to think of the prototypes of how we could become the leader in the Turkish market. So we had an idea to develop an online model. So if you are a plumber, you can go online, you can order the stuff you need, and then push the button, and overnight it will be put in your truck, and then you can take it to the construction site. An online model. The next one we thought about is, hey, maybe we can do 3D printing. So if you have a 3D printing solution, you can just design what you need to have, you can push the button, and it's printed in a local distribution center, and these are exactly the things that you need. We also thought to maybe deliver directly to the customer. So we thought maybe we just deliver to the construction site directly and deal with the customers. And there was a fourth option. We thought maybe we need to help the plumber. Maybe we set up a knowledge desk to help him, and maybe we advertise with some jobs to help him to get more business. So these were 4 ideas And as I told you before, there's always one model that you fall in love with. So my question to you is, what model would you fall in love with? So you've been discussing this with this smart neighbor, so maybe now you can discuss this with the other neighbor. No, so who would fall in love with the first model? Who thinks online is the real way to go to market? Some of you. Who thinks 3D printing is a big idea? I see some more hands. Who thinks deliver directly to the customer? Some of you. And who thinks we need to go to the plumber? Also some of you. So I need to be honest with you, I fell in love with number one. And why? Because in the UK, this is a model that works. So then you think, okay, that's easy, we can do that in Turkey as well. So how can we test the assumptions? So you saw in the example of the startup, we wanted to go to the pub. But here, when we assume, for example, that they want to buy their stuff online, we need to just go not to the pub, but we need to go on safari to meet all these customers. So we made a safari guide together with my Dutch colleague and with the Turkish team, with Suat and with Oyku. And what we started to do, we did safari, we started to ask questions and have conversations with all these customers. So what is important here is that you don't need to show your products or ideas. You just first need to observe what's going on and how they behave and what they want. So I show you some of the examples. So we went to see mechanical contractors, and here you see we had the interviews, and we asked them what they consider important, what not. We went to see installers. Here at the installer's base, we saw these kind of things, like materials all lying around. When the CEO saw this in the Netherlands, he was almost crying. He said, I can't imagine that all my stuff there is all over the place. And then we went to see distributors. Here you see the distributor office. And what is interesting is we started to work with the idea to become the leader in the market, but then along the way we started to learn, and then you saw that the online model would not be the best model to become the leader in the market. And also building a factory is not the way to actually become the leader in the market. So we summarize this visually. So first, what we learned is that the contractors are customers in the Netherlands, but here in the Turkish market, we found out they are not our customers. And that happens often. When people have assumptions in their head, these guys are our customers and they will buy our services, most likely you always find one group where you're not right. The other one is not about online. I visited more than 400 plumbers, and not even everybody had a phone. Besides the fact that some, very, very few, had a smartphone. So how would they ever be able to order online? And we saw that the quality of the construction was bad. I mean, if you see these pipes here, they're on top of each other, leakage is about to happen soon. So we assumed that all the quality was good. We thought we offer a welding pipe that they're so excited about because they can use it. And they said, well, actually, this welding pipe doesn't really help. So the other thing is all about education. So all these plumbers were hungry for education. So we were thinking, why don't they buy these tubes where you don't hear any noise? Well, if you don't educate them, they would never ever buy this. And then we realized that distribution is key. So from the Netherlands, we think at distribution offices, they come together for a coffee. Well, here they drink tea, but it's very social job to come together at the distribution center to understand about the latest developments. So to summarize this is, we started to have the idea, how could we grow the Wavin Pilsa business? And then we thought, let's build a new plant. And that idea is very easy. Why? Because let's build this plant, we can just see what it looks like, we write a plan. But no, we started to analyze how we could do a better job. So we start to co-create with the team and customers, and then we start to put the business model together to understand everything about our clients, start to understand what's going on in the Turkish market, and then try to figure out how we can be successful. So what is our vision about? And then here we had even 6 ideas, these very innovative ideas. So we explored different possibilities, but when we started to talk to customers, we tried to turn all the assumptions, what we had about them, into facts. And then when we had this conversation, we had these visits, we realized that one customer segment was not even our customer, but we end up not building a factory, but setting up an academy for plumbers to teach them how they best use the materials. And after that, we had 3 experiments to do. So one was around finding the right way to distribution. Another one was the position and advertising. And there, the other one is the Waving Pijl Academy. And this project is what we started 2 years ago. And right now, if you go to the website, you will see that the Academy has educated more than 5,000 plumbers. And it's amazing to see that these guys are very excited, and actually Waving Pijl is now able to engage with the customers in a much better way. And when I was invited here to do a keynote, then I contacted Orhun, and he said, I'm really excited to be here at the conference as well, and to show you that maybe you think innovation is about big-time ideas and big-time spending, but actually it's all about going out of the building, meet your customers, and then learn and see how you can best add value. And one of the real things I loved is that working with Turkey's team is really, really exciting. And why? Because if you work in Japan or in the Netherlands or in the US, people don't like to go out of the building so much. But when we introduced this idea here in Turkey, the team was right away going to talk to customers. They were very excited in a shortest period of time. They learned so much, and setting up this Waving Academy was really fantastic. So I'm very excited to show you this case study and to share this with you. And if you would like to get more information from Orhun himself, he is here to share this with you. But this is a case study where you as a corporate company can also innovate, and it's not about spending a lot of money, but be smart about understanding your customers. So to summarize, you need to use the right tools and develop the skills in your company to do that. And you need to find the real pain from your customers. So not finding pain that is actually solving a product issue like Better Places, but a real pain, what you see here for Waving, for example. And then when you know that you can solve a problem for many people, then also you see that your idea is scalable. So you need to get your business model right. And what is most important, you just need to do it yourself. Or you just fucking need to do it yourself, right? So if you would like to find this case study, it's online for you on SlideShare. So as a gift from Waving Pijl and from myself, from the Dutch team, you can share this and use this for your knowledge and your experience. I'm here also at the Dutch Pavilion today. Tonight I'm somewhere in town, I think, but we have books for you, so if you have an exciting story to tell, we might give you the book. And we also run workshop, and if there are students here in the room, if would like me to do a lecture, I will do this in the next few months for free, so let me know if you have any requests, then I'm happy to do that. Thank you for being in Istanbul.